Hello again and welcome to Black and Gold Training Camp, getting you set for everything Pittsburgh Steelers football in 2024. I'm Jack Hillgrove.
And I'm Jaime Baker. This is a very new look team here in 2024, and they've spent the last few weeks getting to know each other in Latrobe. The players and coaches moved into their dorm rooms at Rooney Hall ahead of the first practice in late July. Coming to the Steelers for the first time in his career, the quarterback expected to be the starter, Russell Wilson. He mentioned how excited he is to get going and expand upon what they've done so far this offseason and see where this new offense under a new offensive coordinator can go.
Just a plethora of guys that can make plays. I'm excited for Najee Harris and Jalen too. Those guys kept coming out of the backfield. Those guys running downhill. And it all starts with offensive line. Those guys up front. I mean, we've had a really good offseason up front. I'm excited about that too. Some of the younger additions too. Those guys got to work for it every day. And so it's all of us together. It's all hands on deck, and we're excited about that.
I think he's done a great job. He's a challenging guy to go against. He's very calm and collected at the line of scrimmage, so you can't show too early. Just a guy that seems very calm and steady, never too high, never too low, and just loves to compete. So I'm happy he's with us.
He likes to work. I just think that is a really good place to begin. He's highly conditioned. He brings a unique approach to the weight room, maybe for a guy that plays his position. There's a lot of interesting things about him in terms of his appetite for work that's really attractive.
Wilson did not end up practicing in the first few days of camp, which gave another guy in the QB room some space to shine. As Wilson dealt with calf tightness, head coach Mike Tomlin made the call to keep him off the field for a few days. So the bulk of the first team reps on offense went to former Ohio State standout Justin Fields. Fields was selected by Chicago with the 11th overall pick back in 2021. In 28 career starts with the Bears, Fields has over 6,600 yards passing, over 2,200 yards running, and 54 total touchdowns. Fields is expected to be the backup this year, but said he's not taking any first-team reps for granted.
No, I was definitely trying to take advantage of each and every rep that I got today. And, like I said, just looking forward to getting better tomorrow.
It was an awesome opportunity for Justin and a challenge for our offensive unit to deal with a little adversity at the outset. You know, we all like to start with great fluidity and clean, but, man, football isn't always like that. And so, really, I looked at it as a good thing for a collective, a challenge for the offensive unit.
Wilson ended up being held out of practice until the following Tuesday before joining the team in full.
Now, there are pretty big storylines when it comes to new faces on the Steelers roster this upcoming season, but also a pretty darn big storyline when it comes to a familiar one. Back in May, the Steelers decided not to pick up running back Najee Harris's fifth-year option, making him a free agent following the season. For the first time this offseason, Harris spoke to the media about his contract situation and said that he was told the team did not give him a fifth-year option because, quote, they don't know what direction the offense is heading. Harris, however, does want to stay in the Steel City.
Good city. Obviously, the people here are nice and are welcoming, but, it's a business. This isn't, this comes and goes in your life, like I said, I've been around this stuff all my life, and what I always take from it is I've always been in the driver's seat of this, and God's been steering it, and wherever He stops the cars, wherever I'm working at, and if it's here or somewhere else, by all means, I'm going to do everything I can for that team, and that's just the mindset you got to have with it.
Now, we've already mentioned him a few times to this point, but Arthur Smith, the new Steelers offensive coordinator, makes his debut in the black and gold this fall. Smith takes over as the Steelers play caller for Matt Canada, who was fired halfway through last season. Smith went 21-30 in 3 seasons as the head coach of the Week 1 opponent for Pittsburgh and Atlanta. But before that, he spent 10 seasons in Tennessee, with the last 2 being offensive coordinator. Smith's schemes in Tennessee were very run-heavy, being in the top 10 in rushes in both 2019 and 2020. But he says the key to their success in Pittsburgh this fall is getting all of their players in the fold.
Well, it's all going to play out. But, yeah, all these guys, we just don't want to become obvious, right? So it's every time this guy's in here in this formation, they're only doing that. So we need everybody involved. And that'll be week to week, how we want to scheme it up. But you can't become obvious. Because, naturally there's going to be tendencies. But that's what you're constantly looking at. And we need everybody involved to make us a more lethal offense. But been very pleased with picking up the nuances and really our style of play. That was good. And then now you're pushing through day 3. So not just physically, but mentally sometimes, see who can push through as you get in the dog days of camp.
As Jack just mentioned, Arthur Smith knows the Steelers' first regular season opponent well as the black and gold hit the road to take on the Atlanta Falcons on September 8th at 1 o'clock. The Steelers stay on the road in Week 2, visiting Russell Wilson's former team, the Denver Broncos. That kickoff is set for 4:25 on September 15th. Week 3 brings the Steelers back to Acrisure Stadium to kick off their home slate. They'll face their second straight AFC West opponent as the Chargers come to town for a 1 o'clock kickoff on September 22nd. Week 4 sends the team back on the road as they head to Indianapolis to take on the Colts in a 1 o'clock game on September 29th. And Week 5 is a Sunday night showdown between longtime rivals as the Cowboys make their way to Acrisure Stadium for a primetime showdown on October 6th. Still to come, we'll head to the other side of the ball as we take a look at some young guys hoping to make an impact on the black and gold defense in 2024.
Early on in camp, Mike Tomlin called the tape gold when it comes to evaluating what this team can offer this season, and that especially true for the outside linebackers, one of which got some valuable advice from a former Pittsburgh Steeler. The outside linebacker, second-year player out of Wisconsin, Nick Herbig, and the legend, Steelers Super Bowl champion outside linebacker James Harrison. Those two getting some reps with each other after practice. Harrison offering Herbig some advice, and afterwards Herbig told us that moment was extremely valuable for him and for Harrison, a moment where he can be able to teach these guys a thing or two about what he knows.
Yeah, I mean, he's just basically just talking about how he went about his business, how he got so successful. Just trying to give me little tips and pointers about the little things. You know, it wasn't nothing crazy. It's just little things that I could do and implement in my game. I feel like you kind of got to ask him questions, pick his brain. You know, ask him little things about pass rushing, about just playing football in general.
You know, Herbig is an example of our expectations for year 2 guys. He showed some flashes a year ago. Obviously, he was a capable teamer. We're just into him developing all components of his game and being varsity in all areas. And
I think honestly is a great asset for any of us. It's a move that's very difficult to learn, but he's made so many sacks off of that one move that he has, and then a couple counters as well. So if Nick can be a young guy and try to learn from a James Harrison, a guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer, why wouldn't he try to soak up as much information as possible from him? And it's so cool that Debo is willing to spend his time teaching his moves to us as well.
Quarterback Russell Wilson continuing to work back to full participation. Here supporting the presumed starting quarterback of the Steelers, his wife, Grammy award-winning recording artist Sierra.
When you talk about the Steelers defense, you're usually referring to guys like TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, or even Minkah Fitzpatrick. But there are a few younger guys heading into their second years that are looking to be a little more impactful. Joey Porter Jr. and Keanu Benton both made some noise as rookies last year. Porter Jr. started 11 games as a rookie, had 1 interception and 47 total tackles. He's expected to be the top corner opposite of newcomer Dante Jackson. Up front, Benton started 9 of 17 games in 2023, had a sack, a tackle for loss, and 8 quarterback hits. Both say they're ready for more responsibilities in year 2.
We got a lot of young guys coming in, and they're kind of looking for me for answers and questions, and I was doing the same thing last year. So just stepping up as a leader and being more of a voice in our room.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to be young forever. I'm not going to be a rookie forever. So eventually I got to take that step, and why not do it now?
The Steelers also drafted linebacker Peyton Wilson out of NC State in April to add to that linebacking core.
I mean, it's kind of cool. It's a little cheesy to say, but, playing right beside 2 of the best linebackers in the game, Patrick Queen probably being one of the best, if not the best, and then E-Rob being up there, being in the league for 10 years, just the knowledge and just the natural instincts that those guys have and just the little information that they're able to give me. I'm like a sponge just soaking it up.
As far as additions go on this defense, the biggest one the Steelers made this offseason was at inside linebacker with All-Pro and Pro Bowler Patrick Queen. He comes to Pittsburgh after 4 seasons with division rival Baltimore. Queen signed a 3-year deal with the Steelers worth $41 million and will be paired at inside linebacker with Landon Roberts, who's coming off of a stellar first season in Pittsburgh in 2023. The two together have already proven to be a physical tandem and haven't been shying away from the trash talk in camp.
It's amazing to see, guys that just welcome them in, and just know the game so well already, and just continue to try to get better every day. That's the biggest thing. As long as everybody in the room has the same mindset and we all on the same page, there's nothing that can stop us. So we just got to all stay healthy, stay in the playbook, and we'll be fine.
The guys in the room, we kind of we kind of just look at it as, getting to learn each other. We in OTAs, man, we had a good time together. I think we just added Tyler and whatnot to the fold. And, to be honest, we kind of don't look at, what's been going on in the past. We kind of just handle what's in the present and stuff like that because, that's just what we got to do for the Pittsburgh Steelers and whatnot. We're going to just leave that up to the fan base and you guys.
The Steelers' secondary was also bolstered in free agency, especially at safety, with former Raven, Lion, and Dolphin Deshaun Elliott. Elliott signed a 2-year deal worth $6 million with the Steelers after starting in 15 games a year ago for Miami, racking up 82 tackles and 1 interception. Elliott will likely play alongside star Steelers safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, and the two have already built up a chemistry in camp that fans can be excited to see hit the field this fall.
Yeah, he's a versatile guy. He has a lot of experience. He started some years at strong safety. He started, I think, last year and the year before that at free. So he's able to play at a high level at both positions. And, wherever we put him, he's able to compete.
Yeah, I'm a versatile guy, and I know those last 6 weeks with that break we had, I honed my craft even more to be able to be ready for this. So, I'm going to be ready for the season no matter what, no matter where they put me. I'm here just to help my defense out, help Minkah out, and just see how great we can be as a defense.
Let's head back to the schedule now and take a look at weeks 6 through 9. For the second straight year, the Black and Gold will head to Sin City to take on the Raiders. This is a mid-afternoon kick, start time 4:05 on October the 13th from Allegiant Stadium. The Steelers are back in primetime for Week 7 as they welcome Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets to town October 20th for an 8:20 start time. Pittsburgh wraps up in October with no early starts with a Monday night game at Acrisure Stadium. The New York Football Giants are coming to town on Monday, October the 28th for Monday Night Football. That leads into a bye week before the Steelers get back into early afternoon games. The Black and Gold hit the field to take on the Washington Commanders on November 10th. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff from our nation's capital.
Still to come, we'll take a look at the newest names entering the Hall of Honor in 2024, and they're definitely guys you're going to know.
It's become a yearly tradition at St. Vincent College, the first Saturday of Steelers training camp every year. Team President Art Rooney II and the organization unveil their Hall of Honor class. This year's inductees, all 4 of them, have had lasting impacts on the organization that to this day are still felt. Outside linebacker Jason Gilden, nose tackle Casey Hampton, running back Willie Parker, and legendary defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau make up this year's class, a record-breaking quartet who made a lasting impact on one of the NFL's greatest franchises.
When you call, they sort of have no idea what you're calling about, so it's always a bit of a surprise. So that's what makes it, for me, is just being able to give guys like that the news that, they're in that hall now, and they got a new set of teammates.
Starting on offense with Fast Willie. Parker played for the Steelers for 6 seasons. He tallied up over 5,000 rushing yards, 24 rushing touchdowns, an NFL champion who still holds the longest run in the history of the big game.
Willie Parker, 75 yards, and this place is a Steeler maniac's haven.
Over to the defense, the man they call Big Snack. Hampton, the former nose tackle, played for 12 seasons for the Steelers, a 5-time Pro Bowler who racked up 39 career tackles for loss and made running the ball against the Steelers a nightmare.
When Casey Hampton came into the NFL in 2001, that was still an era in the league where teams ran the ball on first and second down. I mean, it's not like it is now where they'll throw anywhere, from anywhere, at any time, regardless of the score or anything. So, Bill Cowher defense, if you couldn't stop the run, you couldn't play.
Next, a man who held the standard of elite pass rushing the Steelers fans are used to, Jason Gilden. Gilden played in Pittsburgh for 10 seasons and at one point became the franchise's all-time sacks leader. He was in Latrobe Saturday to receive this honor and couldn't be more humbled to head into the hall.
Once you play here as a player, you always know and you're always aware of all the great talent that's been through this organization. But to actually think about being honored with the greats of the great, it's very humbling. Like I said, it's a very one of those things you really can't wrap your head around at the time.
And finally, the lone assistant coach in the Steelers Hall of Honor, Dick LeBeau, the team's defensive coordinator for 10 seasons, a league champion in 2005 and 2008, who had a special relationship with his defensive players and got the best out of them, game in and game out.
a lot of times the coach has respect of everybody, but to be loved like that, and the guys that played for him just loved playing for him, didn't want to let him down, and I think that was part of the success.
He's a special coach. He's a special strategist. He's a special leader. He's a special communicator. He's thoughtful. He's good with people. The list goes on and on, man. Obviously deserving of the honor.
Let's switch to the opposite end of things. The Steelers were widely praised for their 2024 draft class, and those rookies have shown a lot of promise in training camp. Second-round pick center Zach Frazier and undrafted rookie Beanie Bishop played together last season for the West Virginia Mountaineers. The Fairmont native Frazier played in Morgantown for 4 years, while Bishop spent his final year at WVU after transferring from Minnesota. Right now, Frazier is competing to start at center with veteran Nate Herbig, and Bishop has received a majority of the reps at slot corner with the first team. They said experiencing camp together has been beneficial for both of them.
You know, before we came up here, we were talking a lot, and it's just cool to have someone here that you're familiar with, especially like when we first got up here. We had someone, you know, that we're familiar with, teammates, and it's cool to see him succeed too.
You know, it's kind of fun. We haven't really been talking that much. You know, it's kind of offensive, defensive thing. But you know, whenever his family come in and stuff, I go say hi to him and things like that. Obviously, I don't go against him every day, you know, because he's obviously on the offensive line and I play in the secondary. So, you know, but it's just always good to have a brother out here.
Those rookies and the whole team will be put through the gauntlet over the final 2 months of the regular season. Divisional play starts in Week 11 as the Steelers welcome in the Baltimore Ravens for a 1 o'clock kick on November 17th. The team has to make a quick turnaround as they then head to Cleveland to face the Browns on Thursday night, November 21st at 8:15 p.m. The Black and Gold don't get much of a breather after that either. They stick in the very tough AFC North by making the trip to Cincinnati. That game against the Bengals is set for a 1 o'clock kick on December 1st. And then just over 2.5 weeks after seeing Cleveland at the Dog Pound, Browns make their way to Acrisure Stadium for a 1 o'clock kick on December 8th. We've talked about a ton so far, but we're not done just yet. When we get back, we'll take you inside a fan favorite tradition, the night practice at Latrobe Memorial Stadium. Don't go anywhere.
And another yearly tradition at Steelers training camp, the Friday Night Lights practice. This year, it definitely lived up to expectation. 12,000 plus fans from 38 states and 5 countries, all to cheer on the Steelers ahead of the 2024 season.
I've never experienced anything like this with in the NFL. You know, this took me back to collegiate school versus Godwin High School back in the day. So this was pretty cool.
Man, just can't say enough about this atmosphere tonight. We really appreciate the relationship that we have with this community. We appreciate their support. Hopefully we showed that with our efforts tonight, man. We had a high-intensity practice.
And that very much the case tonight in backs on backers. Najee Harris and Patrick Queen with a pair of very physical and competitive reps against each other, those two splitting. The same could be said for Landon Roberts and Jalen Warren. But after practice, Tomlin very complimentary of what he called the top 2 backs.
Naj and Jalen, they set the tone for the drill, man. That's a drill that's advantage linebackers, obviously. But when you got some strong-minded runners, man, it makes it highly competitive. And those two in particular don't run from the fight, they run to the fight. I respect it.
The vibes at Latrobe Memorial Stadium tonight filled with joy and excitement for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2024, a feeling that Russell Wilson, despite not being on the team until this year, has felt before.
You know, it's a worldwide brand. You know, I think in terms of Steeler Nation, just the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every time I go to Mexico, every time you go international, I played in London, quite a bit. That's what this is what the Rooneys have done. And the great head coaches. Obviously including Coach Tomlin, the great players ahead.
Now, obviously, throughout the preseason and the regular season, a big focus is put on how well the players are playing. And a few of those guys this year are playing for contract extensions. We already talked about running back Najee Harris, but another offensive guy in the mix is tight end Pat Freiermuth. He's entering the final year of his rookie contract. Over 3 seasons, he's accrued over 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns. On the other side of the ball, Cam Hayward is entering his 14th year with the Steelers, and he's hoping to prolong his time with the organization. Both guys say they'd like to remain in Pittsburgh.
I'm optimistic. I want to be here and love Pittsburgh and love everything about it.
I'm just going to focus on, being the best player I can be and control what I control and being locked in for this team. I'll keep saying it. This team needs my leadership, my production, and I look forward to doing it. I want to be here. A lot of football to be played, and this season and then a couple seasons, but I can only focus on what's in front of me.
I think Cam's got a lot of football ahead of him still, and I'll leave it at this. I expect him to be here for years to come.
The Steelers are not usually known for inking deals in the regular season, so this is something to keep an eye on throughout the remainder of the preseason.
Before we go, let's look at the final month of the regular season, and it is a tough 4 weeks for the Steelers. Following 4 straight AFC North games, the Steelers go out of conference to take on the Philadelphia Eagles on the road on December 15th. On the following Saturday, it's AFC North football once again as the Steelers head to Baltimore to meet the Ravens in a mid-afternoon game on December 21st. And they won't get much time to bounce back from what's always a hard-fought battle, because just 4 days later, on Christmas Day, they welcome the defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. Kickoff set for 1 o'clock. And the team does get a bit of a break heading into Week 18 as they won't play their final game against Cincinnati until January the 5th. That game at Acrisure Stadium and a start time still to be determined.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Black and Gold Training Camp Show. There is still an entire season worth of Steelers football to get excited about.
Yes, there is. Week 1, September the 8th in Atlanta against the Falcons, and then the Steelers home opener at Acrisure Stadium, which is just behind us, on September the 22nd, 1 p.m. against the Los Angeles Chargers.